Vachanamrut time, says Sky Guardian. As you wish. Let us. Here we will be reading the Vachanamrut, which is a collection of about 300 discourses from Swaminarayan, who in the turn of the 19th century was a great being who was revered by many different spiritual lineages, especially the BAPS, from where we get this version of the Vachanamrut. Today we are going to be reading Gadhada 1:26. A genuine amorous devotee, amorous, and the nirguna state, the formless state. As will become obvious, this book has a lot of direct teachings, often with a lot of unambiguous terminology, ripe with a lot of Sanskrit. So it can be a bit technical and sometimes overwhelming. But I'll do my best to interpret it as authentically as I can, given my limited experience. On the afternoon of Posh, Sudhi the 11th, Samvat 1876, or the 27th of December, 1819. Swaminarayan, here addressed as Sriji Maharaj, was sitting on a large decorated cot on the veranda outside the east-facing rooms of Dada Kachar Darbar in Gadhada. He had tied a white pug around his head. He was wearing a white case and had covered himself with a thick white cotton cloth. Two large guldavadi flowers had been placed upon his ears, and a tassel of flowers had been inserted in his pug. At that time, while some Paramahansas, high kinds of renunciants, were singing devotional songs to the accompaniment of Atal and Bhagwaj, other Paramahansas, as well as devotees from various places, had gathered before him in an assembly. The Paramahansas, I skipped a verse. Sriji Maharaj then said, "Now, please stop singing and listen as I sing a devotional song in the form of a discourse." The Paramahansas said in return, "Very well, Maharaj. Please do." Thereupon, Sriji Maharaj said, "If while singing amorous devotional songs, a person is attracted only by God's form, then that is fine. But being attracted to anything except God's form constitutes a major deficiency. Why? Because just as that devotee develops affection for and is attracted by sounds related to God, they also develop affection for and is attracted by worldly songs, musical instruments, talks related to romantic partners, etc. Such a devotee should be known to lack wisdom. Thus, a person who is attracted to an equal extent by the words of that source, God, and his saint, and by worldly speech should forsake such foolishness. Having forsaken such foolishness, they should experience happiness through sound and speech related only to that ultimate source, God. Such a person is a genuine amorous devotee. Furthermore, just as that devotee wishes for sounds related only to God, They desire the touch only of God. When they realize other types of touch to be like touching a black cobra or a blazing fire, then they are a genuine amorous devotee. Similarly, if a person experiences profound bliss on seeing God, realizing everything else to be like a pile of filth or a decomposing dog, then they are a genuine amorous devotee. Similarly, if a person experiences profound bliss on tasting the prasad, the food offered to God, not enjoying the various other types of tastes, then they are a genuine amorous devotee. Furthermore, such a devotee experiences profound bliss on smelling tulasi, garlands of flowers, sandalwood paste, and the many varieties of fragrant perfumes, etc., that have been offered to God. They are not pleased on smelling the perfume, sandalwood paste, or garlands of flowers worn by materialistic people. In this manner, a person who has intense love for God-related vishayas, experiences of the senses, and an intense aversion for worldly vishayas, is a genuine amorous devotee. On the other hand, a person who becomes an amorous devotee and yet derives the same pleasure from other types of sight, sounds, smells, tastes, and touch, as they do from God-related vishayas, is a false amorous devotee. 1 second. Alright, I had to pause the cough, thank you. Why? Because they experience the same type of joy from vishayas as they do from God. Therefore, such amorousness and mode of worship should be forsaken. Why? Because it is not God who is at fault, it is the amorous devotee's attitude that is at fault, i.e., they have believed God to be exactly like other objects. As a result, their bhakti, their devotion, and amorousness is flawed. Now, just as I have described discretion in indulging the 5 types of vishayas, experiences of the senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, for the stool body in the waking state, similarly, subtle vishayas exist for the sukshma body in the dream state. A devotee may experience happiness from God-related sight, sound, smells, tastes, and touch on seeing the form of God in their dream. But if they also derive exactly the same pleasure on seeing other vishayas, experiences of the senses, in their dream, then that devotee's amorousness is false. If, on the other hand, a person in their dream experiences happiness only by association with God and feels an aversion for other vishayas as if they were vomited food, then they can be said to be a genuine amorous devotee. If they do not experience this, then although the form of God seen in their dream is true, that devotee's understanding is flawed. Why? Because they have equal love for God and other vishayas. Thus, true understanding is to remain attracted only towards the form of God and not towards other vishayas. In this way, when only thoughts of God remain while contemplating, a state of void is attained wherein, with the exception of the form of God, that devotee does not perceive the body or the Brahmanand, the universe, at all. Thereafter, while seeing the form of God within that void, divine light is generated, and the form of God is seen within that light. So, affection towards only the form of God in this manner is called faithful bhakti, devotion. In conclusion, Sriji Maharaj added, "When you sing amorous devotional songs, I also close my eyes and think about just this. These thoughts of mine may be simple, but nothing is able to persist in those thoughts except God. In fact, so powerful are my thoughts that if any Vishai were to obstruct the amorous love that I have for God's form, it would be decapitated. Just as you sang devotional songs, I have also sung a devotional song in the form of this discourse, which I have shared with all of you today." In this way, using himself as an example, Sriji Maharaj delivered this discourse for the benefit of his devotees. And thus we conclude Gadhada 1:26. On a genuine amorous devotee and the nirguna state, the formless, that void state that was mentioned. So thank you again for listening.